Hey everyone, Clio here and welcome to Talking Arcs, in which I talk about ARC copies that I've been reviewing. And so for the second edition of this book talk series, I will be talking about Alone Together, Love, Grief and Comfort in the Times of COVID-19, which is an anthology that is edited by Jennifer Haupt. So this book talk is sadly going to be a little bit short because sadly I didn't necessarily enjoy this one all that much. Now I do definitely want to thank Netgalley for my e-copy of this book, and I definitely do love the possibility of checking out new books before they come out. So Alone Together is coming out on the 1st of September and it's an anthology about COVID-19, about the experiences of a lot of different authors during these times. Great thing about this anthology is that it is in support of local bookstores within the US. So buying a copy of this book definitely supports local independent businesses, and so they definitely need your support at this time. Now, an important remark to make in the beginning is that there is a difference between the physical copy and the e-copy or the audiobook copy. And so the audiobook and e-book version of this book are a little bit longer than the physical one will be. Now, I ended up only reading the physical copy of this book, or like the part of the e-arc that corresponded to the physical copy, because I definitely felt like I had enough of an idea about what this book entailed, and since I wasn't necessarily enjoying myself all that much with this collection, I decided not to dive into the final part, which was the extra material. So the problem that I had with this one is something very typical of anthologies, and that is the case that you are getting a sampling of very different writers' works. And so there are certain pieces that you will like more than others. Even with anthologies by the same author, there are always going to be short stories, for example, that you like more than the others. But I definitely do feel like when multiple authors are involved, there's definitely a lot more of a possibility for you to absolutely dislike certain pieces and absolutely love others. With this one, my main problem was that I didn't necessarily absolutely love any of them. There were definitely pieces that stood out a little bit more to me, or pieces in which I very much liked the writing. However, I felt like these pieces were always so short that there really wasn't too much that could go into the works. And so actually I ended up loving the poetry works more than I ended up loving the essay collections, because the essays were just always so small, so short. It very much felt more like anecdotes in my opinion, and so I didn't really get too much out of it. I think the big selling point for this book, definitely the area in which this book shines, is of course the fact that we can all relate to a lot that is happening in this book. So we are in this collection, authors are giving us their experiences during COVID-19, and obviously a lot of that is going to reflect our own experiences during COVID-19, and I definitely do feel like if you want to recognize these sort of situations that we've all been going through in the past months, that can definitely be accomplished through this collection. What I also very much loved, and what I actually loved most about this collection, was looking at sort of experiences that we all know are taking place during COVID-19, but that you might not have personal experiences with. So for me, that meant like the grief section for me was a very strong section, because we were looking at people who were losing loved ones during COVID-19, which luckily I haven't had happen to me. And so that section to me was very much more of a powerful section, an emotional section. And I also loved about that section that it didn't just look at like the physical loss of a person. It didn't necessarily only look at people who have had a loved one pass away, but it also looked at things like estranged relationships or breakups happening because of the stress of the situation and because of being forced in sort of like tight corners together with a person all the time, and the sort of strain that has put on relationships. So I very much loved that section, but some of the other sections I definitely felt became a little bit too banal for my taste, and so that meant that I kind of struggled getting through it at some point, because and so I wasn't really getting a lot out of a lot of the pieces that were included, sadly. But so I definitely would say, if you want to read up about other people's experiences during COVID-19, if you want to have that feeling of recognition about this whole weird time period in our lives, or if you want to read a little bit about certain experiences that you yourself haven't had, or definitely if you just want to support independent bookstores in the US, I would definitely say do check this one out, and hopefully you will just love this one a lot more than I personally did. But so yeah, still very happy that I had this opportunity to read it, and I was definitely very much intrigued to see what they would be writing about COVID-19. It's in general, it's something that's kind of interesting, that very much interests me to like think about how this period of time is influencing our media, our art, our artists, and I'm very much intrigued to see like what type of writing, what type of books we will be seeing in the next coming years that have been influenced by this period in our lives. So yeah, let me know down below if you want to talk about this book, if you want to talk about what I just said, the influence of this period on art in general, and I would be happy to start a conversation with you guys. So yeah, see you guys for the next one. Bye!